You're back with the show that is all about small business, jobs, and a term that I throw around a lot, but often don't have the perfect example for you. But today, we're lucky that we do have that perfect example for the term entrepreneur. We are joined by our friend, our serial entrepreneur, Bryan. You came very highly regarded, and as I looked you up a little bit online, saw so much about the businesses that you've grown. Thanks for joining us on Get Down to Business.
Thank you, Shalom. It's great to be here. I am Bryan Jurewicz. Been involved in entrepreneurial sort of leadership role for the last 18 months in selling my business, and happy to share any experiences that you might find interesting.
Bryan Jurewicz, our serial entrepreneur. Bryan, thanks for joining us. So, Bryan, tell us about what you do. And from your LinkedIn page, you're involved in just about a little bit of everything. You're a mentor at 1871, which our listeners know a lot about. But you're involved in helping businesses and growing businesses. Tell us about some of the things that you're most proud of accomplishing over these past few years.
Well, I have my hands sort of in a lot of different ventures at the moment. I'm sort of best known for a company that I started actually back in 2001 before the dot-com crash. It was a company called GradeBeam.com, which was focused on helping the construction industry move more away from paper and manual processes into the digital age, and we had put together a database of contractors across the country and into Canada, where general contractors would log into our system and access these subcontractors, qualify them for projects, post project information online like blueprints and those types of things, and then communicate directly back and forth with each other, eliminating sort of the old processes of sending blueprints around in order to get pricing. Grew that business over a number of years and raised money from Hyde Park Angels. Along the way, we were their second investment and ended up being their first exit. And grew that company to about 500,000 subcontractors across North America, and then eventually sold it to another company called Textura back in late 2011. Spent about a year on the Textura Executive Committee, integrating GradeBeam in our operations, financials, technology, and strategy, ultimately getting ready for Textura's IPO, which happened middle of last year, and Textura is based in Deerfield, Illinois. So I've had a good run, and I've leveraged that experience to ultimately help other startups and entrepreneurs locally. As you mentioned, mentoring in 1871. I'm also involved with the Junto Institute for Entrepreneurial Leadership, where we help new founders for startup companies become better leaders and more successful. I'm also involved with a company called Lean Tech Group, which is a boutique investment bank that actually represented me in the sale of GradeBeam. And we're trying to help other entrepreneurs become successful and raise money and ultimately exit, sort of repeat my success.
That's great. And I know it seems obvious, but one of the things that startups often face as they try to get to the next level is customer acquisition. And I know that you've really grown companies. Is there one bit of advice or information that you can give to some of our listeners that are working on their own ideas, their own entrepreneurial endeavors?
Well, I'm a big fan of Steve Blank and sort of the lean startup approach and all the new approaches to trying to figure out what your customer base is and what your target market is and what the best way is to stay focused and really acquire customers as effectively as possible before raising too much money or spending too much money on growing your business. A lot of companies will have a tendency to hire a sales rep or a vice president of sales to come in and hopefully grow their business for them before they've really tested sales themselves. I personally believe that the founders should be involved in getting out in the field, talking to potential customers, describing, the problem they're trying to solve as well as their solution, and getting good customer feedback prior to, really building your team and making sure that you understand exactly what your sales metrics are. So how much does it cost to market to a group of companies or individuals that you're trying to sell to in order to get a number of people that are actually interested? And then once you have them interested, how much time or effort or money does it take in terms of sales reps to close those first customers? And if you can hire a couple of sales reps, then you can sort of A/B test those individuals to make sure that you're really getting the best effort from each of them, and compare and contrast and create a little bit of competitiveness so that they can collaborate and try to find the best ways to get those first customers before building out a whole sales team and spending a lot of money not knowing exactly what your sales process should be.
And you just hit some of those golden words. I think it's important when you're starting a business, don't get all high and mighty and say, I'm a business owner and I don't need to be involved in getting those customers. I could hire people for that. The reputation is everything. Getting out there and maintaining relationships with your customers and building those relationships so you can get that first customer and hopefully many customers after that is so important. And Bryan, the other thing that we always talk about is surrounding yourself with the right people, and whether that means hiring, really good quality people or finding advisors and mentors to help you grow is really important. What have you found as you've grown some businesses of your own?
Well, typically one of the things you want to look for in a good team is a hacker, a hustler, a visionary, and obviously not every company is a digital company, but a hacker is someone who really understands, let's call it the industry and the product, and is going to be focused on making sure that you're providing great value to your customers. Your visionary is going to really lead the organization and be the person who's putting together the overall strategy for the organization. And your hustler is going to be your salesperson, who's going to get out of the office and really generate good customer relationships and interest and ultimately grow the revenue of the business. Sometimes one person can play two of those roles, but it's pretty rare that somebody can play all three of them. And in most cases, I see that the hustler is the player that's sort of missing. Usually you get a lot of people who have great ideas.
Find good people. Find good people. That's what it's all about. And that's, as an entrepreneur tries to grow, that's what's so important. Bryan Jurewicz, thanks for joining us on Get Down to Business. How can people follow up with you?
Well, you can reach out to me through LinkedIn or Twitter, Bryan Jurewicz, spelled Jurewicz, or my website, roimagnet.com is probably the best way.
Thanks for joining us on Get Down to Business.